G-R-E. Do these letters scare you? I was scared too. I was scared because I started speaking English only 5.5 years ago. And I know some of you guys may be in a similar situation. This video is mostly for those whose first language is not English. Now, I will not be talking about how to get a max score of 170. I will be talking about how to get your maximum score. We are all different, and standardized tests are not the indicators of future success. Moreover, English is not our first language. On this test, we are competing with native speakers. Also, we studied math in completely another language. How we're supposed to understand English math terminology? However, don't you worry. This is all doable, and you can pass GRE and study in your dream school in America. I'll talk about my personal journey and the GRE resources that I used, my study routine, and some behavioral tips for all the GRE takers out there. My dear friends, I have a confession to make. I took GRE 2 times just because I was not satisfied with my first result. And I thought I could do so much better. My first prep was in the US from August to November. I already had registration for November 18th and I started my prep in August. In August, I was just going through all math terminology. I also had 3 sessions with a GRE tutor for writing essays because I wanted to know what would be required from me so I can start practicing. In September, I started to get more nervous because final date of the exam was coming closer and closer. I decided to take Princeton Review GRE prep course. It was completely online and it had a consistent schedule of meeting twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. I was studying 3 to 4 hours a day. I really struggled with academic vocabulary. You should have a special notebook dedicated to GRE vocabulary words with 3 columns. One is the word itself, second is the word usage in the context, and the third is definition. Whenever I read with a translator, and I would translate the word both in my own language, but writing down the definition in English because that's what's the most important here. You should read with intention of learning new words and with noticing sentence structures for your essay section. I would also dedicate 1 hour each day for math section. I had a separate notebook for the most important math formulas, writing down the most important formulas. I was very nervous about my analytical writing section. I realized that what would take me the most time on analytical writing is to come up with arguments. I copied all the GRE essay topics from ETS website to a Word document, and I would try to come up with arguments for each one. So if I see a similar topic on the GRE itself, I don't need to spend a lot of time to come up with the arguments. However, the analytical writing topic I got on my first GRE test was not in the pool of topics. How frustrating. But the practice of coming up with arguments helped me a lot. And I was able to write a decent essay. My second GRE test, I was taking back in my country, and I had 2 weeks before I can have my second chance and prove that I can do it so much better. On the second test, I had a specific goal in mind. I wanted to improve my quantitative section score. I found a great resource which is called Gre Math Bible. It was this thick, and I dedicated around 5 hours each day to study math and solve math problems. I would suggest you to use only official ETS GRE Prep resources. And only when you went through all the official resources, you can use additional resources from other companies. GRE test makers frame questions in a certain way to psychologically treat you. Sometimes you read through the answers and you see one that you agree with, or the one that's the most logical. But you have to choose the one that applies to the problem, to the question you need to solve. You have to always keep that in mind. It's a good practice to train 3 to 4 hours a day to simulate the real GRE test environment. It's really hard to sit still for 4 hours when they're throwing questions at you one after another and you have to solve them in a limited amount of time, while also taking time to translate all these words that are coming at you. Remember, GRE test depends a lot on your psychology. Test makers want to play with your mind and make you so tired that you won't be able to think straight towards the end of the test. That's why they're throwing the analytical writing section first, so they can exhaust you. That's why you have to trick them back and get used to information overload. I know you can do it. You need to be calm to have your best performance and get the best result. Consider taking GRE twice to have a first test as a part of your practice.